Hi, I'm Stu from Hive Automation. Welcome to the Hive. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at this new Meross MS130H Matter temperature and humidity sensor kit with an MSH450 hub. As always, we'll be taking a look around the outside of the box. We'll see what's inside the box. We'll get everything paired up with the native app, and we'll also see about getting it into Home Assistant. So while I roll the intro, why don't you take a moment to subscribe, and if you hit the bell icon, you'll get notified when I release new videos. While you're at it, if you like what I do here and you want to support the channel, there's some affiliate links in the video description to smart home gadgets that you can buy for your very own smart home and support the channel at the same time, or you can support the channel directly through my Buy Me a Coffee link. Of course, all of those affiliate links and my Buy Me a Coffee link can all be found on my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. With all of that out of the way, let's get started. Are you going to let me make a video? Or are you just going to sit here and be a pest? So about 6 weeks or so ago, Meross reached out asking me if I'd like to take a look at the new MS130 temp and humidity sensor, and I said yes. The MS130 temp and humidity sensor kit that they sent out does come with the MS450 Matter Smart Hub as well, which is a requirement for the temperature sensor, the wireless unit, to bridge to the rest of your network and smart home. The temperature and humidity sensor itself is this super portable wireless box that runs off 4 AA batteries and then communicates back to the hub using the 433 MHz protocol, which, while it is a little bit older, it does have better range than something like Zigbee, Z-Wave, Thread, or Wi-Fi, so it wouldn't be unreasonable to put this wireless unit at the opposite end of the house from the hub, or maybe even in a detached workshop or shed. It has this nice large 3.6-inch LCD display to show you what the temperature, humidity, light level, time, date, and other information is currently on the unit as well. I've had it sitting on my desk for a few weeks, and it's been great having the display, especially to quickly check the time or the temperature in my office. Now, of course, Meross did send me this at no cost to me, but if you're looking to pick one up for yourself, there's a link in the video description, and it is normally priced at $79.99, but at the time of filming, it is available for $64.99 from the Meross website. Now, in terms of prerequisites, as I mentioned before, the MS450 hub is required to bridge the 433 MHz from the sensor to your network, either with a 2.4 GHz Wi-Fi or the Ethernet port on the MS450 hub. And you'll also want to have the Meross app on your smartphone, and that's about it. Now, in my setup, I'll be using the MS450 hub with an Ethernet port and a power over Ethernet to USB Type-C adapter dongle, so that I only need to run the one Ethernet cable from the switch to the hub for power and data. So let's head over to the unboxing bench and take a quick look around the outside of the box. Starting on the front of the box, we have the Meross logo, Smart Temperature and Humidity Sensor, MS130H, a picture of the unit and the hub, and the Matter logo in the bottom left. On this side, just the Meross logo again. And on this side, some key points: customizable buttons, remote access, vibration triggered backlight, high accuracy, light sensing, alert notifications, rain and snow indication, and history export. On this side, we have works with Meross Smart Hub and the specs, works with Matter, etc. Smartphone running iOS 16 or later or Android 8.1 or later, and an existing 2.4 gig network, or with the MSH 400 or MSH 300. There's slightly different requirements there. And then lastly, on this side, we just have a couple of serving suggestions there for the unit itself and the hub. And lastly, on the bottom, we have some specs. The temperature range is -20 to 60 degrees Celsius. The humidity range is 0 to 99%. It's powered by 4 AA batteries, and the dimensions are 3.54 by 1.65 by 3.15 inches. The wireless standard is 433 megahertz. The input for the hub is 5 volts at 1 amp, a 500 milliamp minimum. The dimensions are 3 by 3 by 1 inch, and its wireless standard is IEEE 802.11bgn at 2.4 gigahertz and 433 megahertz. And now we'll take a look at what's inside the box. So we'll pull this tab out and then fold up this flap. We see a couple more printed things in here. It says hub needed, set up with Meross App, use in a dry location, and 2.4 gig Wi-Fi only. There's some FAQs for Matter and troubleshooting with these QR codes here. Opening up the top of the box, we have a 7 things you need to know about Matter booklet here. And then we have the user manual for the MS130. There's a QR code to view the instructions and all the other details in here as well. Next, we need to decide between grabbing the hub or the unit. I grabbed the hub and took it out of this plastic baggie here. It's made of a plastic. It feels pretty good actually in terms of build quality. We see our Matter sticker there. There's some grills on the side with some speakers, and we've got some specs on the back here that should match what we have on the back of the box. On the back, we have an Ethernet port, a USB Type-C port, and a little button there. We'll pop that aside and we'll grab the unit out now. And again, we'll take it out of the plastic bag. And we can see the nice big 3.6 inch screen there and the 2 buttons on the top. There's a little port on the top, which I assume is for one of the sensors, either the light or the temp and humidity sensor. And on the bottom, we have the specs that again should match our box. And we've got another little port on the side again for one of the sensors. On the back, we've got this flap that we can open up to use as a kickstand. It's quite tight, so I'm going to grab a screwdriver to open that up. And with that popped open, we can then open up the back, and we can then see the cover for the batteries. And I'll use the screwdriver again and uncover the 4 AA batteries. There's a little plastic tab protecting the batteries there, and the plastic tab's still there, but I obviously moved it enough for it to change. So I pulled the tab out, and we can see there we have the light level is 12, the humidity is 60, and the temp is 22. We've got a happy face and a little dot there on the display. The last thing in the box, we've got this white box here, which I'll pull out. And I'll just put the unit itself here and the hub, and we'll open up this white box. Inside here, we have a USB power adapter. This is a US style one. Meross were kind enough to send me Australian style power adapters. They actually sent me 2. There's a cardboard separator, and then there's 2 cables inside the box. We've got a USB A to C cable to power the hub. And then we've got a Ethernet cable here to plug into the hub. Pulling the Ethernet cable out of the baggie, we can just kind of see that it's one of those flat style Ethernet cables. It seems like it's pretty good quality. We'll pop that aside. So that is everything that we get inside the box for the Meross MS130H kit with the hub. With everything out of the box, let's get it plugged in and get the unit paired up to the hub and then to the Meross app. So obviously the first thing that we need to do is plug it in. So I'll start with an Ethernet cable, and I plugged the other end into my PoE switch just to see whether or not it was going to power the unit without needing the power adapter, but unfortunately it does not support PoE. So I plugged in a USB-C power cable, and after a few seconds the LED came up and started flashing orange and green, which indicates that the unit is in pairing mode. I then took the other end of the Ethernet cable and plugged it into the switch again, and you can see the Ethernet LEDs have come on there, and it's negotiating a connection. I had put the plastic tab into the battery compartment again earlier, so I pulled that out and the unit powered up, and we see the sensors showing values there again. So now over on my iPhone, I've got my Meross app open and I've tapped plus to add an accessory. And in the list here, it shows that it's got an unbound device in the network, the Smart Hub. I'm going to scroll through the list and find Smart Sensor and Alarm, choose the MS130, and the pairing hub is the MS450H. It says install the Smart Hub first. I'll tap next, and we need to add a Smart Hub. So we'll ensure the Smart Hub is flashing green. If not, double press the power button. And then we can now hold the left and right power buttons down for a duration of 5 seconds on the MS130. And we should see a flashing Wi-Fi symbol there. We can tap next and it will take a few moments. After a little while, the time and date showed up on the display. And after a little while longer, the app told me that it failed to add the device and some troubleshooting steps there. So I ended up removing the Smart Hub from the app and starting again by tapping the plus button in the top right hand corner, then tapping Smart Hub, the MSH450, and following the instructions here to set it so that the LED was flashing amber and green. Before trying this again, I also swapped the power adapter for the PoE to USB-C cable, and then I got it successfully into the pairing mode, and in the app I was able to tap next and then tap next again and select Works with Apple Home to use that as the Matter platform, and then tap next. And then it took me through the Apple Home Matter pairing process where I scanned the QR code, tapped Add to Home, and then followed those instructions again. With the hub successfully repaired, the Meross app said we're finishing up the Smart Hub configuration and adding it to the home network, and it may take a few minutes. It said congratulations, and we were able to tap done, and then we were able to choose a model of accessory, and I chose the MS130. Now I needed to tap the button on the hub twice to get the LED flashing green, and it took a few goes to get it there, and there we go, it's flashing green now. And we tap next in the app, and then we needed to press and hold the two buttons on the MS130 to put it into pairing mode, and then we got the flashing Wi-Fi signal in the top right corner. We tap next. It said it'll take a few moments. The Wi-Fi symbol disappeared from the display. But then finally, after what was possibly the longest 4 minutes of my life, we were prompted to assign an easy to remember name to the device, and I set this to Office. I tap done and then finish, and we see it's on the dashboard there. With everything paired up, now we can take a look around inside the Meross app at the settings, etc. Now, straight off the bat in the app, we got an alert that there was a new firmware. So we tapped OK, and we were taken to the firmware update page, and we see one available update both for the Smart Hub and for the temp and humidity sensor. So we opened up the Smart Hub and tapped update, and then the temp and humidity sensor and tapped update as well, and then headed back to the home page. I then tapped on the Office device there and then put the hub aside, but we can see the temperature, the relative humidity, the illuminance, the absolute humidity, and it just triggered the update there on the unit, so we can see the screen shows up. But we can still scroll through the details on the app and see all of the live details from the unit, including dew point temperature, vapor pressure deficit, and the illuminance levels from 1 to 18 in there. And we can grab and drag individual items here to reorder them as well. We can also tap the history tab there, and we can look at either daily, weekly, monthly, or yearly history for the temp and relative humidity. Obviously, at the moment, there's no historical data because we've just paired the unit. Back to the dashboard and tapping the action button there, we can add scenes to the left and right buttons, and we can choose an icon to identify what the scene is, and then select a device that we want to impact. So we can set one as being the away, and that will turn off Stu's desk lamp, and tap done. So we'll assign that away to the left button. And I also quickly created a second scene called home and set the desk lamp to 100% and assign that to the right button. So then I was able to test out the action button with the right and left, and I will say it sometimes took more than one press for those actions to take place, but overall it did work pretty well. So now we'll tap the hamburger menu to take a look at the settings, and we can change the name, we can change the room that it's in, and I will put that in study room. We'll back out, we can see the model number, the firmware version, the smart hub it's connected to, and in the smart hub settings we can see the SSID and some other things in there like the device name, etc. for the hub. We can see the firmware is already upgrading, and we can see the user manual for the device as well. We can back out, and we've got the user manual for the MS130 and the update failed there. We've got backlight settings where we can set an ambient light threshold, the backlight brightness, and the backlight sleep time, which is how long after the backlight comes on that it's going to turn back off. To demonstrate that backlight, I just turned some lights off and held my hands over the sensors so you can see that there. After tapping next, we were told that to save to the device, we have to hold the pairing buttons down again and then tap next a couple more times. I didn't do that this time though. Back in the settings, we can see we've got temperature unit, and if I tap on that, it tells us that we can press the left and right buttons to change the temperature unit. And I tried that and it took a couple of goes, but then it changed to Fahrenheit and I changed it back to Celsius. We then also have time format. By default, it's in 24-hour time. You can change it to 12-hour time. And then if you tap next and then next, it updates the unit. And I prefer it in 24-hour time, so I changed that back. We then have alerts, so we can set alerts for temperatures, relative humidity, illuminance levels, absolute humidity, dew point temperature, and vapor pressure deficit. By default, we've got a low battery alert set up, and if we turn on any of the other switches, we can then choose the range that we want to trigger an alert. There's then a calibration section where you can set either the temperature offset or humidity offset based on an existing device you might have. In the export history menu, we can set a start and end date and then email a CSV of that period to ourselves. We've got clear data, which does what it says on the box. It clears the data history. Automation, we can turn one of the other Meross devices on or off based on a sensor in this unit itself. And we've got device power shows as 100%. We can set our time zone is Australia, Melbourne already. And we've got our location setting there, which shows our longitude and latitude. Now I want to take a look at some settings in Apple Home. So we're in our home settings and then hubs, and then I'm looking for the Office MSH450. And when I tap on that, we can then see the details of the MSH450 hub in there as we did before. We have all the usual stuff, the room, the number of accessories paired to the hub, and we see we've got the thermometer and hygrometer there, and we can see if we tap on that, there's the room that's in, the accessories attached, and we see the details of the temperature sensor, the humidity sensor, and the light level sensor there. Backing out and closing that, and then backing back out to the Office MSH450, we see the manufacturer, the serial number, the model, and we can turn on pairing mode and copy that code if we want to then pair that using Matter to a different smart home hub. Now to get the MS450 hub integrated into Home Assistant, I do have in my production instance of Home Assistant the Meross LAN hacks component already installed. I did cover that Meross LAN hacks component in a previous video, and I will put the card up in the corner here for you. But we will head over to Home Assistant now and get it set up using that hacks component. So over in Home Assistant, we're going to Settings, Devices and Services, and straight away we see the MSH450 is discovered. We can tap Add on there, and we see we've got the Smart Hub, and we can set an area, and the temp and humidity sensors also there, and we can set the area for that, and we're putting both of those into Stu's office, and we'll tap Finish. And we're taken to the Meross integration, and we see we've got 2 devices and 9 entities. If we click on the 2 devices there, we've got our Smart Hub and our Smart Temp and Humidity sensor. Opening the Smart Hub, we see Do Not Disturb is currently turned on. I'm not sure why, but we've also got Refresh, Reload, Signal Strength, and there's a detection for Win 11, and I don't know what that's about. Backing out, we can go to our temp and humidity sensor here, and we've only got the 4 entities. We've got battery, humidity, light, and temperature. But now with all of these in here, we can use these sensors to trigger Home Assistant automations, or we could also just pipe this data into something like InfluxDB and then chart that if we wanted to go down that route. We can also click on Add to Dashboard, and if I add these to Stu's office, I'll tap Next, and I'll just click Add to Dashboard. And now if I head over to my Stu's office dashboard, and down in the bottom right hand corner, we see our Smart Temp Humidity details are listed there on this dashboard. Now, if you've been a viewer of the channel for a while and you've seen some of my more recent reviews from SwitchBot devices, you may notice that the MS130 bears a striking resemblance to the SwitchBot CO2 temp and humidity sensor that I have here. In terms of the screen size, they are practically identical. However, you will see, if you can see that there, that the displays are quite different. So let's pop back over to the unboxing bench and take a quick look at some of the key differences between the Meross and the SwitchBot. Now, straight off the bat, you can see, as I mentioned, that the displays are practically the same size, but the displays are very different. First of all, we see the time on the Meross is a lot bigger than the quite small time on the SwitchBot, and the date is about the same size. Looking at the temperature and humidity, they're about the same size, but they are swapped. The Meross does have the light level sensor, but the SwitchBot has the CO2 parts per million. The SwitchBot also has this weather indicator, so partly cloudy there by the looks. Moving around to the side profile, and we see the SwitchBot is a fair bit slimmer. The Meross does have a much wider base, and it's a bit more stable on a desk, but the SwitchBot has a hanging tab, so you can hang it directly on a wall. Opening up the back flaps, we see that the SwitchBot has a USB Type-C input, and it only requires 2 AA batteries versus the 4 AA batteries that are in the Meross unit there. But having the USB-C power is a nice touch there. Standing them up on their kickstands, the adjustability of those kickstands is about the same across both devices. So you can lay them back at any angle where there's detents in the kickstand there. And the last main difference to mention here is the buttons on the top of each unit. Where the SwitchBot only has the one button which switches between Fahrenheit and Celsius, the Meross does have 2 buttons, and you can use both buttons at the same time to switch between Fahrenheit and Celsius, or you can trigger scenes in the Meross app with those buttons there. So that is the new Meross MS130 Matter Smart Temperature and Humidity Sensor with the Meross MS450 Matter Smart Hub. As I mentioned before, I've had the MS130 sitting on my desk in my home office for a few weeks, and I've really enjoyed having the time and temperature display right in front of me throughout the workday, so I can quickly see whether I am running late to a meeting or if I've worked a little bit of overtime. And it's also worth noting that the action buttons on the top of the MS130 are not mapped through to Home Assistant with the Meross LAN hacks component. Whether or not that's going to change with a future update, whether to the Meross unit or the hacks component itself, remains to be seen, but I'm hopeful that we will see that come through at some point. As for the MS450 Smart Hub, I did initially think that it seemed a little bit wasteful to have a single hub just for the one temperature and humidity sensor, but you can also pick up standalone temp and humidity sensors, and I found on the Meross site that they also have smart water leak sensors that use the 433 MHz protocol as well, and also simpler temp and humidity sensors that don't have the whole display there as well. And the other point here is that the MS450 hub does support up to 32 433 MHz devices. So you could quite reasonably get a large number of these and have them scattered all around your house. You could have one in every room and be able to read that data from the one MS450 hub. It's also worth mentioning that the hub itself also has a piezo speaker built in, so you can set up alarms that will sound on the hub. I suspect that there's going to be some more 433 MHz wireless devices coming from Meross in the not too distant future as well, so I'll be keeping an eye out for any new developments there. So let me know what you think about the new Meross MS130H temp and humidity sensor in the comments section down below. That is all we have for this video, and I do hope that it's helped you in your home automation journey. Be sure to drop a comment below with a home automation idea you'd like to see me cover in a future video. And don't forget to follow HiveMind Automation on Instagram and Facebook. If you like this video, hit the thumbs up button down below to give it a like. And if you're not already subscribed, now's a great time to think about changing that. While you're at it, if you hit the bell icon, you'll also get notifications when I release new videos. Lastly, if you enjoy what I'm doing here and you want to support the channel, there are some affiliate links and also a Buy Me a Coffee link in the video description down below. Any contribution you make through Buy Me a Coffee does get put towards making more and hopefully better content for you to enjoy. Don't forget to check out my website, hivemindautomation.com.au. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Stu from HiveMind Automation, and I'm looking forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.